Such important folks, and it's an honor for me to be with you today. My experience with Smart Start began as a board member in Craven County, and through that experience I was able to truly see the impact, and that involvement showed me the impact and value of the work that you do, the programs that are provided, not just in the lives of the individual children and the family, but also the impact that takes place throughout the community. And my individual passion, if you will, for this issue comes as a couple of reasons. One is being the father of two elementary boys. In fact, I'm nursing a burned thumb up here this morning from fixing their breakfast early this morning. But also as being the son of an early childhood educator and watching just my mother's passion for this and what it meant to her, and to see the impact that you can have in young folks' lives, the roles that teachers play, the roles that mentors and others play. And so I am very honored to be with you. As president of the North Carolina Community College System, my focus and my passion, career passion, is for economic and workforce development throughout the state. And what I want to put a frame of reference for you is, whether you realize it or not, the work that you do is central to economic and workforce development throughout North Carolina. One of my favorite people in the state, he's not here right now, he's over in China helping recruit jobs for North Carolina right now, Secretary Keith Crisco from Asheboro. And Keith, whenever he talks about economic development, if you ever hear him talk about it, I have not heard him talk about economic development yet when he does not talk about early childhood. And that's unique for someone who's the Secretary of Commerce. But Keith is someone who gets it. He understands that economic development is a broad and is a futuristic, it takes many years to get there. But he looks at it in a context, and you are very much in the forefront of economic and workforce development. And last week I was at a statewide economic development summit sponsored by Richard Burr with Erskine Bowles. And a question came up from the audience, and it asked, well, what about Smart Start? How does it fit into economic development? And for a lot of folks, people wouldn't associate Smart Start with economic development. But the answer is that so much of economic development in our state is focused on workforce development. And workforce development does not and cannot begin when people are just become of working age. It begins not just when our students are K through 12. It starts in those earliest years. And that's something that through Smart Start and through the work of the leadership that has put this forward has helped us realize that, and has propelled North Carolina forward in a way that I think is unmatched and will truly provide us significant advantages down the road, economically and from a workforce perspective. Today we live in a world that is weighted down by the pessimistic reminders of the tremendous challenges we face every day. The challenges that our state faces with 11% unemployment, and the economic challenges that we face. But each day, each one of you and the folks who work in the Smart Start programs throughout the state, you have the opportunity to look into the faces of our optimistic opportunities. Those are the young folks, those young people that you work with, they're the ones who, because of the early work that we're doing through the programs that you offer and the roles that we feel fortunate in community colleges to play with you, because of that impact, you're able to work with those students who are going to help us meet these challenges, the significant challenges that we face in the future. And that's why workforce development in North Carolina begins with you. And that's why I'm honored to be with you today as leaders in our workforce development system. And I'd like to talk to you in the context, both of what that means from the standpoint of our role with you, with what we're doing with community colleges and early childhood, but also in the context of what your tremendous contribution means in this whole fabric of workforce development in our state. Now, workforce development has always been one of North Carolina's strengths, and is increasingly becoming a focus throughout the world. Singapore, China, where many of our state leaders are today, Ireland. It is becoming a focus for how you create economic prosperity in countries and states throughout the United States. North Carolina has always been a leader in these efforts, and certainly has been a leader in early childhood education. And that's why we celebrate the fact that we have a comprehensive workforce development system in North Carolina, one that begins with Smart Start. And because of that, we also need to celebrate the collective accomplishments that have been made to this point. Just last Friday, I was here at NC State for another celebration, and it was a celebration of a former governor, Jim Hunt, who was very important to this initiative. If you were ever around Jim Hunt, which I know many of you were, and I was able to be, you knew that the focus on little children, as he used to say, and always still says, and the focus on Smart Start is still at the forefront of his thinking, and it's the forefront of thinking about how this all fits together in terms of the economic and the workforce fabric in North Carolina. And those accomplishments are what we celebrate today, and to look at how far we have come and but still how far we need to go. It was in 1993, and Ashley was talking to me about the great efforts, and my predecessor, Martin Lancaster, put so much attention to this as well. But it's 1993 that the North Carolina General Assembly passed the legislation to create this initiative to ensure that all children arrive at school healthy and ready for success. And by 5 years later, in 1988, we had 49 colleges offering the Associate in Applied Science and Early Childhood Education. And as a system, we had 12,000 students enrolled in the courses and the programs that we offered. Now, 10 years later, all 58 of our colleges offer the Associate in Applied Science and Early Childhood Education. And they're offering a variety of educational programs, diplomas and certificate programs. And today, we have, as the end of last year, 31,000 students and more than 70 programs and courses in early childhood education. And much of that is thanks to the work that your programs provide, the scholarships, the opportunities for teachers. Now, the quality requirements that Smart Start and our local programs have driven and expectations among parents for excellent child care have also provided the expectations that we place upon our programs in the community college system. And this has led to the increased course offerings and a 250% increase in the number of early childhood education students since the time this program was created. And while we've made significant progress, and certainly we've seen progress in terms of growth, we're not in any way trying to rest on our laurels. It was in 2006 that through the efforts of Smart Start, you helped us in developing what we call a curriculum improvement project. We often shorten that and refer to those as SIPs. And we began a 2-year process to revamp our programs in terms of early childhood education, particularly with the focus on infant toddler care and school-age education. And in addition to these continuous improvement efforts, many of our colleges throughout the state have gone a step farther, and with your support, seeking national recognition through the National Association of Education of Young Children. Today, we have, I believe, 12 colleges throughout our state who have gained that certification, ranging from Blue Ridge in the mountains to Vance Granville near here, and colleges throughout our state continue to work towards that. And through local Smart Start partnerships, our colleges team up to create projects and activities to support professional development in early childhood for the administrators, as well as the early childhood educators that are coming through our colleges. And those programs, we can see in the success, we can see in the statistics, we can see in the growth, but often we see that more so in the individual faces. And as Marie would know, the students that come through our programs. Nearby here, we have one of those success stories. Wanda Fowler, who was in the first graduating class of Wake Tech's early childhood education program in 1988. After gaining her associate's degree, Wanda worked her way from teacher to administrator to director in a child care center where she was employed. She later earned her bachelor's degree in human development and family studies, and she's now a quality enhancement specialist with the Wake County Smart Start, working to improve child care centers throughout this county, a very large county, and she's reaching out to the next generation of early childhood educators at Wake Tech. And her commitment to quality education is still a driving force. What Wanda has said is that Wake Tech did more than equip me for a career, it helped me to discover my passion. You know, that goes further than the statistics. The statistics are made up of many, many Wandas. And through your support, that's what's helping to make a difference in North Carolina. Most people who are working in early childhood programs are working full-time, going to school full or part-time, and often have families of their own. Through my own experiences, I've seen many of those students come from somewhat more meager means, oftentimes from low-income families, which is not necessarily unlike the majority of our community college students. And the fact that one of the focus areas of Smart Start, the performance-based incentive system, is tracking accountability method used by Smart Start. It's helping to improve early childhood educational levels and making sure that state dollars, in this time when dollars are short, are expended for educational related needs. And this helps both our students and your partnerships meet the goal of achieving and raising educational levels and promoting this development of the early childhood workforce throughout our state. And that payoff and that focus, I am told, by you is paying off. I'm told that you're seeing solid improvement in early childhood teachers and administration, but we still need improvements in education and the professional development of family child care providers. And the Smart Start Community College teamwork needs to expand into other areas, and that's what we're doing. That's what you're doing through your support through Smart Start to help our programs, help you, and to help our state. You're funding professional development coordinators. Some of them reside at many of our community college campuses throughout our state to support recruitment and advising efforts to help students pursue their higher education opportunities. And our research has shown that those efforts, particularly efforts around student advising and support, are two of the biggest factors in contributing to student success. Something that's going to be a major focus for our system over the next 2 years. In other words, not just the numbers that we see going into our programs at the beginning, the numbers of students that are coming in August and September, the number of students that are in our early childhood programs, but the numbers of graduates that we see in May. You're also funding early childhood faculty at college in order to provide more course opportunities at different locations. And I can't tell you how important that is right now. I mentioned to you Marie's situation at Edgerton Community College where you see 30% growth, which truly is at the highest levels we're seeing. But we're seeing 15% growth across the community college system right now because more people are turning to community colleges than ever before in our history. We're seeing that the road to recovery is running right through the middle of the North Carolina community college system. And if it wasn't for the support that you provide through Smart Start, for scholarships, for faculty support in some cases, we would not be able to meet the demands that we're currently trying to meet in terms of early childhood. And so that support is vital to us at a time when more people are looking to North Carolina community colleges than ever before. And many of our colleges today are providing a living lab where our early childhood education students can get access to not only provide the coursework, but the laboratories to work with young people through our child care centers. Today, 50% of our colleges have child care centers on campus, which serve a vital need for us in helping students to be able to pursue their education. But the value of the child care centers on our campus is they provide that living lab for our educators. And 90% of those child care centers on our campus serve as laboratories for our early childhood care programs, an area which, even at a time of very strained resources, we need to continue to strive to support and increase at North Carolina community colleges. These real-world experiences create a better educational environment for our students, and they also provide the quality staff and quality learning experiences for the children in our programs. Now, child care, as we know, as we suggested, is a large part of North Carolina's economy, both as a core component in North Carolina's toolbox for attracting new companies and for new expansions of jobs throughout North Carolina. I can tell you, someone who participates in that process, that a focus on schools and a focus on child care opportunities is part of the decision fabric that every company makes in deciding where they're going to create jobs and where they're going to locate. But beyond that, you are a direct impact on our economy. 47,000 workforce, almost $2 billion in terms of your direct economic impact. And with programs at now 58 community colleges, we are playing a significant role with you as a partner in a state that faces tremendous economic challenges, 11% unemployment. And the extent of our impact and the role of Smart Start goes much beyond these numbers. Our early childhood educators are playing a huge role in the development of North Carolina's workforce of tomorrow. The more than 400,000 children who will be attending licensed child care facilities at any one time in North Carolina. And when you add in-home providers, the number and the impact expand. In essence, we're a big part of the cycle of workforce development in our state. Our colleges, in partnership with you, the Smart Start agencies, are making a huge stride in the development and education of early childhood programs throughout our state. Each year, we're turning out over 900 graduates each year with a degree, a certificate, or a diploma in early childhood related fields. And those graduates have an impact on the success and the children in their care, not just the workforce of today, but the workforce of tomorrow as they leave their early child care center and move into elementary education and beyond. A perfect example of this cycle is Rhonda Johnson, who recently graduated from Halifax Community College and was recognized just recently with the Halifax Warren Smart Start Partnership for Children's 2008 Early Childhood Educator of the Year. The reward was presented to Rhonda in recognition of her outstanding contributions to the lives of young children in her classroom. She's worked at the Child Care Center at Halifax Community College since 2005, and Center Director Vicki Dill, who nominated Johnston for the award, credits her with helping the center retain its 5-star status in 2007. And she's currently the lead teacher of the center's 2- and 3-year-old childhood classroom and plans to complete her bachelor's degree in early childhood education. And while it's obvious that Rhonda has contributed to the success of the center and her charges in many ways, Vicki Collier, who's the director of that center, captured her largest contribution in her description of Rhonda's teaching by saying this: she nurtures the natural curiosity of every child. She nurtures the natural curiosity of every child. When we think about someone like Rhonda or the Wandas in Wade County or all those folks throughout the Smart Start and the early childhood educators, being able to do that at those early years will define the success that we as higher education have in the future, and that will define our prosperity as a state as we move down the road. We need more of each of you because the work that you're doing, the work that you do, greatly determines the future of North Carolina. And as research increasingly indicates, childhood experiences prior to the age of 5 determine the success throughout their remaining years. I've been struck recently in some of the things I've read by reading about the research of Betty Hart and Todd Risley from the University of Kansas. I don't know how many folks are aware of that research is coming from there. They've carried out an extremely ambitious study of young children born to, and their studies looking at children of professional parents, as they describe, working class parents, and poor parents on welfare. And their research indicated to them a remarkable difference in terms of the amount of verbalization that children receive in those early years. Children of professional parents receive, I'm told through this research I've read, is that 2,000 words per hour, I believe, in terms of the words they hear from their parents. Children of working class parents typically hear 1,300 words per hour. Children from poor, low income, particularly welfare single moms, hear only 600 words per hour. Now, this research is showing that children then by the age of 3 are tremendously impacted from that point forward. By the time a child is age 3, children born to professional parents know 50% more words than those born to working class children. And 3-year-old children of professional parents speak to their parents in a language that is richer than the children of welfare parents receive from their parents. And that, Risley and Hart suggest, is that by the age of 4, the best that can be expected of our education programs from that point forward, public schools and higher education, is just to help our students not fall further behind. In fact, they suggest that 80% of the factors that will determine those students' success moving forward is caused by those family factors early on, not by the educational inputs that we will put on from that point forward. So think about that. Think about the impact that you have, your programs have in those early years. That's why you're at the center of workforce development. And that's why we also have to think about it in the context of where we are moving forward. Today we live in a world where, compared to 10 years ago, we compete against twice as many people as we did 10 years ago. That's due to the emergence of India and China and the former Soviet republics. Those children that we're talking about now are competing against twice as many people. And also compared to just 10 years ago, we live in a world where 10 years ago we led the world in terms of the number of individuals that had an associate's degree or higher in our workforce. Today we've fallen to 10 and continue to slide. We live in a world where there can no longer be, as maybe we've had in the past, educational or workforce throwaways. And what I mean by that is we can't afford that any child cannot have the educational opportunities moving forward, because we're going to need every worker moving forward. Right now we live in a time when we don't talk too much about workforce shortages, but we will in about 10 or 20 years. Why? Because most of us in this room fall in that baby boomer demographic, and most of us will be retired by 2030. Sometimes we keep pushing that out as the times get worse and worse. But when the first baby boomer was born, there were 43 workers for every retiree in the United States. When the last of us baby boomers retire, there will only be 2 to 3 workers for every retiree in the United States. And that's why the work that you do and the work that we do is so dependent on you is so important. And the truth is, right now, we're no way ready to be workforce competitive. We're no way ready to be workforce competitive. We live in a world where today's youth, this is the first generation of American youth that will have lower educational attainment than their parents, at a time when that educational attainment has never been more important. We live at a time now when only 9% of our students who fall in the lowest 25% of socioeconomic status and do not have parents that attended college, only 9% of those students, if trends continue, will ever complete a college program of any type, compared to 68% of students and the highest 25% of that socioeconomic demographic. When you put all those things together, it's a world that just cannot, it's a world for the United States, I should say. For us, it just cannot be. For us to be where we want to be as a country, where we want to be as North Carolinians, that economic prosperity is driven by the fact that we have to have a highly and much more highly educated workforce and population than we have now, than we've had in the past. And at a time when we need to be going one direction, our statistics truthfully indicate we're going the opposite direction. So what does that mean for all of us? It means that the stakes are higher than they've ever been before. And what it also means, as we look at this issue, if we want to call it workforce development or education, the truth is when we look at this and we talk about this, we cannot have those conversations without you being a center part of that conversation. Our research clearly shows, the research that's been done clearly shows, is that the successes that we're able to have in higher education, the success that our public schools are able to have, are dependent on what we can do with children aged birth to 5. That's why you're important. That's why it's important that we be engaged with you. That's why the work that you do is centered not just to a healthy childhood in North Carolina, a healthy North Carolina, it's centered to our economic future. And that's why I'm very honored to be with you today and to work with you more in the future and to celebrate what we've done in the past, but to see clearly the need that we have to accelerate those efforts even at a time when our resources are dwindling. Thank you very much for having me.